Have you ever stood in front of a dream that seemed completely impossible? Perhaps every fact told you no. Every expert said it couldn't happen. Every number, every circumstance, every logical conclusion pointed in the opposite direction of what your heart longed for. Maybe you've wondered, how can I believe in something when reality keeps proving me wrong? That question has stopped millions of people from changing their lives. But what if reality isn't as permanent as it appears? What if the life you're living today is not the cause of your thoughts, but the result of them? Welcome back to Tales by Hasiba. Today's journey is about one of the most fascinating ideas ever shared, that the greatest limits in our lives are often created by the beliefs we accept as absolute truth. So, find a quiet place, relax your mind, and imagine for a moment that everything you call impossible is simply waiting for a different way of seeing. Because sometimes the impossible isn't impossible at all. It is only a possibility you haven't learned to believe in yet. Picture a woman sitting quietly in a doctor's office. Her hands tremble as she holds several medical reports. Every page carries the same heartbreaking conclusion: you will never have children. 3 different specialists reach the same diagnosis. There is no uncertainty, no hope, only facts. She walks home carrying more than papers. She carries disappointment, fear, and the heavy weight of believing her future has already been decided. Most people would surrender. Most people would accept those words as the final chapter of their story. But she made an unusual decision. Instead of accepting the conclusion, she chose to imagine a different ending. Every night before sleep, she closed her eyes. She imagined gently rocking a baby in her arms. She could almost feel the tiny fingers wrapped around hers. She imagined hearing soft laughter filling her home. She smiled as though motherhood had already become part of her life. Nothing around her changed immediately. The reports remained the same. The doctors never changed their opinion. The evidence continued to say the same thing. Yet inside her mind, another reality slowly became stronger than the one she could see. Months later, something happened that nobody expected. The impossible became possible. She gave birth to a healthy daughter. Whether you see this story as spiritual, psychological, or symbolic, it reveals a powerful lesson. Sometimes our greatest transformations begin long before the outside world notices. They begin inside. Human beings naturally trust what they can see. If the bank account is empty, we believe we are poor. If the relationship ends, we believe love has disappeared. If life becomes difficult, we assume our future will be difficult too. Our senses constantly tell us stories. And because those stories feel real, we rarely question them. But imagine standing beside a calm lake. The water reflects the mountains perfectly. If the reflection changes, do the mountains change first? Or does the reflection simply follow? Your external world often behaves in a similar way. What you experience may be reflecting beliefs that have quietly shaped your thinking for years. Most of us never notice this. We simply react. We allow today's circumstances to determine tomorrow's expectations. And without realizing it, we continue creating the same experiences again and again. History is filled with people who believed in something long before anyone else could see it. There was a time when human flight sounded ridiculous. People laughed at the idea. Experts insisted it could never happen. Then 2 brothers refused to let public opinion define possibility. Their imagination reached the sky before their airplane ever did. The same pattern appears throughout history. Electricity, computers, space travel, medical breakthroughs. Every great achievement existed first as an idea that reality seemed to reject. Reality often changes only after someone refuses to accept its limitations. Perhaps your own dream deserves the same courage. The greatest obstacle isn't usually the world around us. It is the conversation happening inside us. Our logical mind has an important job. It protects us. It compares. It analyzes. It warns us about danger. Without it, survival would be difficult. But there is one thing logic cannot do. It cannot create tomorrow. It only explains yesterday and today. It looks at existing evidence and assumes the future must follow the same path. That's why your mind often whispers, "Don't dream too big. Be realistic. People like you don't achieve things like that." Those thoughts sound intelligent, but they are often nothing more than echoes of past experiences. They are conclusions, not possibilities. And conclusions can always be rewritten. Imagine planting an apple seed. You don't dig it up every morning, asking whether it has become a tree. You water it. You protect it. You trust the process. Belief works much the same way. Every dream begins as something invisible. At first, there is no evidence. Only faith, only persistence. Only the quiet decision to continue believing before the world gives you permission. That is where transformation begins. Not when everyone else believes, but when you do. As we continue this journey together, you'll discover why so many people unknowingly create lives based on fear instead of possibility. More importantly, you'll learn a simple shift that can completely change the way you approach your dreams, your challenges, and your future. Because the greatest walls in life are rarely built from stone. They are built from beliefs. And once a belief changes, everything else has the chance to change with it. Have you ever noticed that two people can face exactly the same situation, yet respond in completely different ways? One person sees a closed door. The other sees a challenge waiting to be solved. One gives up. The other grows stronger. The difference isn't always talent. It isn't luck. And it certainly isn't intelligence. More often than not, the difference is the story each person believes about reality. The world doesn't simply respond to circumstances. It often responds to the meaning we give those circumstances. Imagine two gardeners planting seeds on the same day. The first digs up the soil every morning, searching for proof that something is happening. The second waters the ground patiently, trusting that growth is taking place beneath the surface. Which seed will become the stronger tree? Life works much the same way. Growth is almost always invisible before it becomes visible. Success is usually silent before it becomes celebrated. Transformation happens inside long before it appears outside. Yet most people give up because they mistake silence for failure. Think about the moments when you've wanted something deeply. A better career, financial freedom, a healthier body, a loving relationship. Now ask yourself honestly, how much of your attention was spent imagining success? And how much was spent worrying that it wouldn't happen? Our minds have an incredible habit. The moment we desire something, we immediately begin collecting reasons why we might fail. What if I'm not qualified? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose everything? What if it never works? Without realizing it, we rehearse disappointment long before life ever has the chance to surprise us. It's like watching the ending of a movie before the story has even begun. Picture a man standing at the foot of a mountain. The peak disappears into the clouds. Looking from the bottom, reaching the top feels impossible. If he stares only at the summit, he may never take the first step. But if he simply focuses on the next few feet, then the next, and the next, something remarkable happens. Eventually, the impossible becomes the path beneath his feet. Dreams work the same way. You don't need to know every step. You only need to believe enough to take the next one. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting for confidence before taking action. They tell themselves, "I'll believe when I see results. I'll feel successful after I succeed. I'll become confident once everything works out." But life rarely works in that order. Confidence grows through action. Belief strengthens through repetition. And results often arrive after both. Imagine learning to swim. No amount of standing beside the pool will teach your body what the water feels like. Eventually, you must step in, not because you're certain, but because you're willing. There's a quiet power in acting as though your future is already unfolding. Notice this doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities or refusing to face reality. It simply means refusing to allow today's circumstances to become tomorrow's identity. A difficult season does not make you a failure. A temporary setback does not define your destiny. An obstacle is not a permanent address. It is simply a place you happen to be standing today. Many people unknowingly become prisoners of old stories. Years ago, someone told them, "You're not smart enough. You're too ordinary. People like you never succeed." Those words settled deep inside. Eventually, they stopped questioning them. They began living as though those opinions were facts. But here's something worth remembering. A belief is only a thought repeated often enough to feel true. And if a belief can be learned, it can also be replaced. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day for years. At first, it feels unbearable. Eventually, it feels normal. You forget what walking freely even feels like. Negative beliefs work exactly the same way. You've carried them so long that they seem like part of your identity. But they aren't. They are only. Every morning gives us a quiet choice. Will we continue telling yesterday's story? Or will we begin writing a different one? Your future isn't waiting somewhere far away. In many ways, it begins with the conversations you're having with yourself today. Every thought you repeat becomes stronger. Every belief you nourish grows deeper roots. Every image you hold consistently begins shaping your decisions, your confidence, and eventually your life itself. This is why protecting your inner world matters so much. Because everything visible begins as something invisible. Every masterpiece starts as imagination. Every achievement begins as possibility. Every extraordinary life begins with someone refusing to let current circumstances become permanent conclusions. As this journey continues, we're about to discover one of the most powerful truths of all. Why do some dreams seem to arrive almost effortlessly, while others take time? And what role does patience play in transforming belief into reality? The answer may completely change the way you see your future. Now we arrive at the most important question. If belief is so powerful, why do so many people abandon it just before their lives begin to change? The answer is surprisingly simple. Because most people mistake silence for failure. Imagine planting a tiny seed beneath the earth. For days, nothing happens. No leaves, no flowers, no visible proof that life even exists. If you judged the seed only by what your eyes could see, you would conclude that nothing was growing. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is taking place. Tiny roots are spreading. The foundation is becoming stronger. The invisible work always comes before the visible reward. Life follows this same rhythm. The greatest transformations often happen quietly. Before the promotion comes unseen preparation. Before confidence appears publicly, it grows privately. Before success reaches the world, it begins inside one person's imagination. That is why patience is not weakness. Patience is trust. It is choosing to continue walking even when the destination is hidden by the fog. Think about every sunrise. The world never rushes it. Morning arrives exactly when it should. The ocean doesn't hurry its waves. The seasons never compete with one another. Nature understands timing, yet human beings constantly ask, why hasn't it happened yet? What am I doing wrong? When will my life finally change? Sometimes the greatest obstacle isn't the dream itself. It's our impatience. We dig up today's progress because tomorrow hasn't arrived fast enough. We quit one chapter before the breakthrough. We stop believing just as the door is beginning to open. There is another truth that many people overlook. Belief is not pretending everything is perfect. Real belief doesn't ignore challenges. It simply refuses to let challenges write the ending of the story. Imagine a captain sailing through a violent storm. Dark clouds cover the sky. Powerful waves shake the ship. The compass is the only thing guiding the journey. Now imagine if the captain threw away the compass every time the weather became difficult. Would the storm become easier? Of course not. The compass becomes even more valuable during uncertainty. Your vision works exactly the same way. When life becomes confusing, your purpose becomes your compass. When fear grows louder, your values become your direction. When circumstances seem impossible, your inner belief becomes the anchor that keeps you moving forward. Many people spend years waiting for permission. Permission to dream. Permission to begin. Permission to believe they deserve something better. But no one can give you that permission. It has always belonged to you. History is filled with ordinary people who decided not to let ordinary circumstances define extraordinary futures. Every inventor, every artist, every leader, every dreamer started with something the world could not yet see before anyone believed in them. They first believed in themselves, not because they had proof, but because they refused to let doubt become their identity. Ask yourself something today. What dream have you quietly buried because someone told you it was unrealistic? What goal have you postponed because the timing didn't feel perfect? What version of yourself have you been afraid to become? Now imagine meeting your future self 10 years from now. Would they thank you for giving up, or thank you for refusing to quit? Sometimes the future you're praying for is waiting for the courage you haven't shown yet. The truth is, life will always offer reasons to doubt. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be obstacles. There will always be people who tell you why something cannot be done. But there will also always be people who prove them wrong. The question is, which person will you become? The one who accepts limitations, or the one who quietly creates new possibilities? As our journey comes to an end, remember this: your circumstances are temporary. Your potential is not. Your current chapter is not your final chapter. Every day gives you another opportunity to choose hope over fear, progress over perfection, faith over doubt, action over hesitation. The future isn't built in one giant leap. It's built one decision at a time, one belief at a time, one courageous step at a time. If this story has spoken to your heart today, don't let it end here. Take one small action toward the future you truly want. Write down your dream. Learn one new skill. Have the difficult conversation. Take the first step you've been postponing. Because extraordinary lives are not created by extraordinary luck. They are created by ordinary people who refuse to stop believing. Thank you for spending this time with me here on Tales by Hasiba. If this story inspired you, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss our next journey together. I'd also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and answer this question. What dream are you choosing to believe in today, even if the world says it's impossible? Your story may inspire someone else to keep going. Until our next adventure, take care of yourself. Keep believing, keep growing, and never underestimate the incredible power that lives within your own mind. I'll see you in the next story.